Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Friend of the show, Jason Zinoman, he writes for the New York Times. He was really writing about Marc Maron, but I was really interested in the Jason Zinoman part of the article. Jason wrote, "When I got the job as the comedy columnist for the New York Times, I prepared by talking to people in the industry, reading as many books as I could, attending myriad shows, and listening to every episode of Maron's podcast. Spending time with him was by far the most useful." Now, I'll jump in there. I personally have taken a different route, going all the way back to when I first started running comedy for Sirius Satellite Radio 20 years ago now. Wow. I pretty quickly decided to take an eye-level approach. So to talk more in modern parlance, say more Jim Gaffigan and less, I don't know, so we'll say one of the new faces or somebody who's lesser known. And that approach informed how I programmed the comedy channels back in the day with more of a hits format. Back in the day, it was Dane Cook and Jeff Dunham were super popular. And then along the way, you bring the audience along by sprinkling in newer faces. And that's how I try and handle this show. If you listen every day, you'll hear how it's structured. And I always try to lead with names. What we're in the middle of now ostensibly is a Marc Maron story. He's a name. And then I do the esoteric stuff like the Fringe in the second half. But back to Maron and Zinoman. Zinoman writes, "It's not just that Maron's podcast is a superb oral history of the art form, or that his conversations can be insightful. I especially savor the discussions with less famous peers who share a history. The most important thing I learned from Maron's podcast is the art of interviewing. Maron has two unusual tactics for a celebrity interviewer, going on the attack and becoming wildly introspective, often in the same conversation. He attacks by introducing a bone to pick to create conflict and seeing how his guest responds. When I went on a show in 2017, this is Zinoman, he did this by taking issue with a column I wrote on Lenny Bruce. Not only did it force me to think aloud and become more present, it also gave the conversation a shape, injecting dissension that may or may not be resolved. It's why Maron often ends his podcast with the phrase that is the title of a new documentary about him, 'Are we good?' I'm starting to stress," this is John speaking, "that Maron's podcast is ending. I have started filling my phone with back episodes. I worry that they'll disappear or go behind some sort of paywalls. I've just been squirreling some away." Jason writes, "Maron is one of the few comics whose podcasting has made him a better stand-up." I put the spin on the word better there, precisely because he's integrated this double focus, looking at the outside world through himself, into his specials. Unlike most podcasters, Maron refused to pivot to video. It's why when he announced his retirement, my first thought went to a book by another highly respected cerebral comedian, Fred Allen, titan of the golden age of radio. Fred described how the move to television robbed an essential part of the imaginative work of the listener. He predicted it would ruin comedy. Unlike his rival Jack Benny, Allen never made the transition and faded from memory. Jason points out, of course, the shift from radio to TV did not ruin comedy, but it doesn't mean that something precious wasn't lost or that the new world is always better. Do you have any idea how innovative, talent-rich, and brilliant radio comedy was in the 30s and 40s? Probably not. I agree with him there. Now, I personally do. Not only did I program the comedy channels, at times I think I had 2 stints as the program director of Radio Classics on Sirius/SiriusXM. So I'm probably a little more educated than most in that subject. Continuing to pick away at Bill Burr's appearance on the Good One podcast. That was a very, very interesting interview. Burr was getting a little feisty. Good One said, "You appeared at the Conan O'Brien Mark Twain Prize ceremony." "Yes, I did." "What was that experience like?" "Terrifying." "Not given much there, Bill. You got to have more than one-word answers, dude." So Vulture followed it up. "In what way?" Said, "I've shied away from doing those things because I think I find a lot of the chop busting I do staying in a protective place. So if I actually have to go out and say something nice about somebody, I get uncomfortable or emotional or something. But I knew it was something I was going to continue to be asked to do, and I jumped at the opportunity when they asked me because I need to get better at it." Said, "I'll tell you though, had I known John Mulaney was going to open up and kill that hard, I would have turned down the gig. He's unbelievable in general, but how good is he at these things? I remember sitting next to Sarah Silverman. She had to go on too. I'm like, what the F? They don't need us. I didn't need to be here. I started freaking out. Then Will Ferrell went on. It was like the 27 Yankees of comedy. And I'm that guy you don't remember from the team. It's one of my favorite things I ever did because I was so afraid to do it and it went well." "Bill, do you think you'll ever receive the Mark Twain Prize?" "I'm not one of those guys." "Which guys?" "A-list guy. I don't want any of this stuff. I really don't. You know what I really want? When I walk down the street, when people from different walks of life go, 'Hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. Oh, I like your special.' I like sitting in the crowd. Like when I go to a sporting event, I want to get good seats. The closer you get to it, the quieter it gets and the less fun it gets. I was always like mezzanine level. I don't want to be up there with binoculars and drunk people, paraphrasing, But I like the mid, where the alcohol intake, the view, everything looks mid. Whatever the second color row seats, that's what I like. Chrissy from Q97.9 Radio told a great story about TJ Miller. Apparently, TJ agreed to fly to Maine and accept Chrissy's beer pong challenge. Chrissy had tagged TJ on social media to challenge him to beer pong. TJ went up and did it. Told Chrissy, this is the coolest radio interview I've ever done. Thanks for being fun. And then said, all right, let's go get another drink and a lobster roll. I'm in Maine. We have to go eat lob rolls immediately. Chrissy says, there I am with TJ as manager and our lobster rolls before noon when we continued the adventure of visiting every dive bar on the wharf, Porttown Public House, $3 Dewey's, Commercial Street Pub, and so many more. TJ said, Maine is so chill. It's a very vibey state. Reminds me of Colorado, and Colorado's my favorite state. I beat you so hard in Pong, dude. Gracie said, I'm never drinking again. Thanks for a great time, TJ. Nish Kumar spoke to Yahoo Canada about social media and comedy. Kumar is pro, saying it has helped the comedy festival industry, saying, I think the internet is sort of supercharging these things rather than taking away from them. A British comedian of my standing 20 years ago wouldn't have been able to casually come to Canada and America and sell out tour shows. That didn't exist. It's only because of the internet and podcasting and Taskmaster specifically. I think there's a lot of negatives it has for our industry and the art form more broadly, but from a perspective of getting people to come to shows and live comedy and festivals, I think it's actually really helped. He does say, having the ability to see what every single person thinks of you can, at points, be paralyzing, and I've definitely gone in waves with it. I don't want to praise him ever, but the one thing I will say is Elon Musk buying Twitter has been really great for me because it means I've stopped using it. It's like a reverse Raiders of the Lost Ark where you open this box and Nazis went everywhere. And I think that made a lot of us examine our relationship with it. Is this all part of a long game for Elon Musk's attempt to improve all our mental health? No, definitely isn't. Billboard asked Sebastian Maniscalco how much longer he will tour the current tour, the 8 Ain't Right tour. Sebastian said the arena phase of the tour is over. What's left is a lot of casinos between now and the end of the year. And then we'll put this to bed. It's been a great run. I think we did 86 shows over the course of 8 months. It was the best time I ever had on a tour. I brought two of my good friends, Pat McGann and Pete Corielli. They're headliners in their own regard. I have my best friend, John Petrelli, who's my security, come with us, and we've really enjoyed every city. In the past, I'd do the show, sleep, and go to the next venue. This time, I enjoyed going out to different restaurants, golf, or what have you. Jimmy Fallon giving Jay Leno some cover. It looks like Jimmy Fallon is now the worst person in the world because he did not grill his guest, Greg Gutfeld, on Thursday night's Tonight Show. They didn't get into politics. I don't think they got into the Gutfeld of it all. Greg came by and told a story about meeting Jimmy Fallon 15 years ago in a, quote, illegal speakeasy in Hell's Kitchen. He explains, we were wasted. Inside it looked like a place where special ops forces waterboard terrorists. Gutfeld said Fallon and his buddy were wrestling before Jimmy ripped a cigarette out of his hand and then felt bad and bought him a new pack. Then they all went to another bar. Jimmy Fallon didn't seem to remember this and said, it definitely happened. Gutfeld talked about how he got his current show, which he got because he used to host Red Eye. As for Red Eye, he said everybody was drunk, even the cameraman. It airs at 2 a.m., but they felt it was too edgy for 2 a.m., so they moved it to 3 a.m. As for Colbert, George Cheeks is the new boss over at Skydance, CBS, Paramount, whatever you guys are calling it. I don't care. Cheeks explained the challenge in late night is that the advertising marketplace is in significant secular decline. We're huge fans of Colbert. We love the show. Unfortunately, the economics made a challenge for us to keep going. Now, listen to this. And I kind of got into this yesterday with Mike Chisholm as we talked about late night for over an hour. Mr. Cheeks said, as soon as Taylor Tomlinson nixed the idea of continuing to host after midnight, it became clear the network couldn't stay in that day part. So this is, I floated this theory before, and it looks like I'm right. Did Taylor Tomlinson accidentally get Colbert canceled? I think so. I'm not saying it's Taylor's fault. I'm not blaming Taylor, but I think that's what happened. Cheeks also commented about the timing, saying, we were at a period from a production standpoint where every year seasonally, this is when we negotiate new deals for writers and producers. In addition, this is going to be the third season of Colbert's 3-year deal. So in order to do these deals, we were going to have to change the terms from what they traditionally are, September to August, to September to May. It was incumbent upon me to make it clear to Steven and his reps. So that's where we are.
Gossip Corner, whispers in the street. Gossip Corner, probably about Pete. Gossip Corner, where the rumors meet. With Johnny Mac, it's always a treat. Gossip Corner, whispers in the street. Gossip Corner, probably about Pete. Gossip Corner, where the rumors meet. With Johnny Mac, it's always a treat.
Isn't that damn catchy? AI generated that. Isn't that pretty cool? Oh yeah, I forgot about this part. You'll be singing it later. May have to trim that a little bit. It's Sunday. It's fun. On Gossip Corner, people are wondering, did Tiffany Haddish have a baby? Here's why. She went on Insta, shared a photo. She was with her longtime friend Jason Lee, and they held a baby, and the caption was, "Cat's out of the bag, heart emoji." Tiffany has not commented further. No one knows. Okay. Well, congrats. If you were up in Jamestown, New York at the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, James Austin Johnson is coming by today for Inside Saturday Night Live. He replaces Mikey Day, who was originally scheduled to appear. Mikey has a personal matter. Bowen Yang will be honored at the 5th Annual Academy Museum Fundraising Gala. Also being honored Bruce Springsteen and some others, Penelope Cruz. She gets the Icon Award. Bruce gets the Legacy Award. Bowen gets the Vantage Award, which honors artists who challenge dominant narratives in cinema. Yeah? I mean, love Bowen Yang, but is that what he's known for? Challenging dominant narratives in cinema? Or is he known for, like, Las Culturistas? Okay. Headline spoke to some of JFL's new faces and asked them what it meant to make new faces. Chloe Radcliffe said, "This has been the most genuinely, plainly excited that I've been for a thing in a really long time. It's funny because people talk all the time in the entertainment industry about how hard it is to let yourself celebrate, and it's hard to know when to celebrate. And so many people put off celebrating because they don't want to jinx something or because it's just one step in a bigger process. People say, no, you have to let yourself really soak in the wins, even if they're little. It's just hard to internalize that. That has always been advice that I used to give to my staff, and now I give to my children. When you have a good day, when you have the victory, when you have the thing to celebrate, take a minute and enjoy it. Not every day in this journey of life is awesome. When you get a good one, enjoy it." Chloe said, "For so many years, it felt like a defeat not to get it, and now this is the first year I've ever had a role in a major studio movie. This is the first year I've ever had a TV deal. This is the first year that I've been a WGA-nominated writer. It's sort of the perfect year to have gotten it. That's great." The Guardian took a look at the Fringe. Molly McGuinness is treating audiences to a buffet. The sketch troupe Simple Town and Jessica Barton as Mary Floppins. Molly McGuinness' show is called Slob, and Molly says there should be a buffet at every comedy gig, and she is doing that. Simple Town, they're out of the U.S. They make short films where everyday conundrums, like what is the meaning of a droit, what happens if you're late for a funeral, escalate to extremes or descend into meta-narratives about the absurdity of online content. That sounds fun. They're at the Pleasance Courtyard through the 24th. If you want the buffet, I forgot to tell you, that's at Monkey Barrel through the 24th. Australian Jessica Barton's show is Dirty Work. She got her first taste of comedy at a French clown school and began messing around using song and movement, physical comedy, and clowning. Her character, Floppins, who is, not quite Mary Poppins, is intent on cleaning up the stage. That's fun. That's at Underbelly Cowgate, in case you're in Edinburgh, until the 24th. The Guardian was excited about Ayoade Bamgoboye. Ayoade's show is called Swings and Roundabouts. Her assured presence and sideways perspectives make her stand out on any lineup, says The Guardian, despite only doing this for 3 years. She says, "I'm looking at everything as if I'm on safari. Spicy punchlines on racism and colonialism, but audiences should expect something bittersweet." Okay, Sharon Wanjohi in the house. Her Fringe debut, her show is about self-help culture and the zeitgeisty coping mechanisms that are shoved down our throats. She says, "I'm presenting myself as this 90s talk show host in the mold of Trisha and Oprah." Pleasance Courtyard through the 24th. Roger O'Sullivan's Feckin', F-E-K-K-E-N. Americans will just roll past that word. The Irish are grabbing their ears. Roger O'Sullivan from Ireland explores his relationship with his farmer father via Tekken. Oh, I see what you did there. And the rest of young Roger's favorite PlayStation games. I like it. At the Apex until the 23rd. Voicemag.uk caught up with Dylan Adler, who's at the Fringe, one of the new faces, too. Dylan says, "My energy's been described before as theater kid who just escaped Alcatraz. And honestly, that sums it up pretty well. My show is an hour of high-energy musical comedy, joke storytelling, and a single backflip. I talk about having an identical gay twin brother, my Japanese grandpa who signed up to be a kamikaze pilot, mental health issues, and getting bullied by kids who were shorter than me. The show is musical theater Kid Chaos. I caught him up at Montreal. He was the closer on the second show that I saw, and he did some material about his twin brother that was quite funny. Dylan Adler is at the Pleasance Beside until August 24th, but not on the 12th. If you're planning on going on the 12th, not going to be there. Why? I don't know. And that, my friends, is your comedy news for today. If you'd like the program without commercial interruption, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, click that banner. It says uninterrupted listening, and it'll take you to this magical land where you give me $5 and the commercials go away. But you also get 20-something other shows on the network. And today's Sunday. Sunday's the big drop day. You've got Alligator Alcatraz. That's my current fave. Paranormal Aliens. Have you caught this guy, James? He's crazy. He thinks the aliens are real. He also sounds like he would kick your hat. I'm not messing with that dude. So you get all those, $5. It's like buying a coffee, except I don't get a coffee, but I can still take the $5 and get a coffee. You know what I'm saying? But you don't have to sit through the commercials. Nice, right? Yes. See you tomorrow.